I've got to ask, we see the tanks rolling down Constitution Avenue. This is the moment that so many of us have been anticipating and talking about. Can you help me identify what
so
we're
these
looking
are,
at?
so you're looking at two M1 Abrams there under the stand there. Now you're looking at Bradley fighting vehicles, multiple variants of the Bradley. So consider this a personnel carrier that's armored, right? And what you're seeing is you put applique armor. There's a lot of things you can do, and there's different variants of this, both scout and regular infantry carrier.
I mean, we're talking about significantly heavy vehicles, 60 tons in some cases, if not more.
Yeah, not this one, but yes, you're getting close.
Okay.
If you look closely at the bottom of the tanks, you can see that rubber padding that we've been talking about to kind of help protect the streets at Constitution Avenue. You can see the troops waving to the crowd, the cheers in the background. You had kind of mentioned this, the vast difference between the Abrams tank and a Bradley, and you said Bradleys are much more of people movers, so 6 to 10 people perhaps in a Bradley?
Yeah, I mean,
soldiers?
so it depends on the variant of it. If it's a scout variant, which moves fast, does the reconnaissance or early warning, a little bit smaller crew because it's smaller inside. And then the infantry variant, you can carry a rifle squad in there up to 9 men. Then you've got the crew that goes with it. So you got to have a gunner, you got to have a driver, and you got to have a track commander. And those track pads, or what you call them, the little black rubberized pads, that does help protect the roads there. Now, if you didn't have the rubberized track pads on the bottom and they do the pivot, this is fine what they're doing now. It's when the tank pivots or the track vehicle pivots when you have that friction on the surface, which is good off-road, good in the field, but damage there. But the Army's done a really good job mitigating this, so I really don't see that as a factor. I think you'll see that in the end.
Yeah, they talked about those steel plates, putting them down in the areas in which they turn to protect the road so that it limits the damage that we'll see from the parade today.
And you can see them at the end of, so where the tanks are going, I was there the other day, and at the very end of the parade route, there is a giant metal plate that has been fused to the ground there to kind of help with that damage. I did want to ask about, again, talking about different types of vehicles here. Is it Paladin?
Yeah, Paladin.
So the difference between so when I'm looking at these, they all kind of look the same to me. But look, if you've got an Abrams tank, this is your frontline heavy combat piece of machinery. Am I on with that?
It's one of the most advanced main battle tanks in the world. And so again, think of a Sherman tank on steroids is what it is. But when you're talking Paladin, now you're transitioning to indirect fires. So you're talking self-propelled artillery. So we know of towed artillery, it sits there, they put the stanchions out, they fire. This one can fire. The key is mobility for survivability. The ability to shoot what we call shoot and scoot, which is to shoot, move, set up, shoot, move. And that's how you survive on the modern battlefield.
And it also provides our troop with ample protection as well while on the battlefield.
We call that indirect fire. Some of these systems can be direct fire systems. And of course, main battle tanks fight tanks. The tanks don't go into battle alone. They take Bradleys with them to do fire and support and bring the infantry with them. Lessons we learned in big ways in World War II and in World War I, with, you mentioned it, FT-17 Renault tanks, which we had.
Yeah. And I believe we either have seen them or we will see them soon.
They're a bit slower.
Okay. But still effective nonetheless, as we've learned.
Let's talk about the uniforms we're seeing currently. I do know that they were transitioning at some point to the global war on terrorism, so I don't know what's your take on perhaps?
Yep, that's what you're seeing right now. We've gone through multiple. Like I said, I went through 8 uniforms of my own. Everything from Desert Shield and Storm, the regular woodland camouflage, which you don't want to take to the desert because it's green, it's loam color, it's black, brown, to chocolate chips, and you saw those earlier. Then the more desert uniform that you're seeing, multi-cam desert. And again, we did ripstop. We've done all sorts of advancements. It's constantly advancing for the soldier and soldier wear. So this multi-cam is what we've gone to now, and that's the standard combat uniform today for the Army.
So this isn't just about fashion, it does serve a greater purpose.
Oh no, it's not about fashion. It's got to be, utilitarian. 2, it's got to be comfortable as you can possibly be. And the purpose of this is depending on where you're operating geographically, you want to be camouflaged. And so there's a degree of that. And so a lot goes into the research and development of uniforms. It's not as easy as it meets the eye.
So to that point, a Vietnam uniform would look tremendously different than one that was perhaps for the global war on terrorism.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. I did want to ask, we know there's some 30 million plus people who have worn the uniform of the U.S. Army, and that history is memorialized. That's part of what you do. You're the president of the Army Historical Foundation. Can you talk about how you've preserved history and what your organization has helped with.
Absolutely. It's a 41-year-old organization, not for profit. It was directed by the Chief of Staff in the Army back then to establish an organization to one, honor the American soldier, two, to educate the future, think our youth about its Army and why we should care. And then along the way, there was a decision made. Hey, let's get a museum built. We do not have a national museum in the United States Army. We do not. We do now. In 1983, we're the only service that did not have a national museum.
Interesting.
It is interesting. We have museums at camps, posts, and stations. Each division represented in this parade today, at their home station, there are museums. A lot of this will fall under the museum hierarchy, but we did not have a national museum. So they said, build one. And we raised the money, and with the Army and lots of other players, we built it, and it is gorgeous.
You know, I wonder for you, what does it mean to have these service members sort of so close to the public, right? I think when we think about the military, we always kind of think about them as a distance, these heroes that are fighting for our freedoms far away from home. But now they are in our neighborhood, and we are getting the opportunity to interact with them, to see the artillery that they use to keep and maintain our freedoms. What do you think that sort of relationship kind of means
whatever you need.
now,
If they want to ask
and
me
how it
anything,
moves
they can.
forward?
I think that relationship is absolutely essential, what we would call in the Army mission essential. I think the American people need to know that these are Americans. The Army is America. America is the Army. There is no separation. We could say that for the Navy and the Marine Corps and all services, but I think it's absolutely essential that we do not let that divide widen. You need to know in your neighborhood, National Guard, I mean, for 250 years ago, you know, the militia, the Minutemen, the response. So that's carried forward to today, and we've got to make sure we don't have that separation continue.
I wanted to grab some quick context. What is this rolling by us?
Okay, you're
before
still
we head
continuing. You're seeing the modern day armor here with the Bradleys. The Bradley vehicle still going by. And again, you're seeing the track commander on the right. You're seeing you got to have somebody in charge of a vehicle. He's one. Drivers down there in the hatch below, and of course the soldiers, the dismount soldiers would be in the back.
Yeah.